The first thing people noticed about him was not his tired eyes or the way his jacket hung a little loose on his shoulders. It was the way he stood at the edge of the wedding hall, half in the sunlight pouring through the tall glass windows, half in shadow, as if he was unsure whether he truly belonged there. He was only a guest, a name written in neat handwriting on a place card, yet something heavy and unspoken clung to him, something that made the air around him feel different. No one could have guessed that before the afternoon ended, this quiet single father would become the most unforgettable part of the wedding day. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet moments that change lives forever, please take a moment to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel Kindness Touch. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that are still waiting to heal. His name was Ryan Ashcroft, and he had not planned to stay long. The wedding belonged to his distant cousin, a successful architect who had climbed the social ladder with confidence and ease. Ryan, on the other hand, had spent the last 6 years climbing a very different kind of ladder, one built from sleepless nights, packed lunches, unpaid bills, and whispered prayers beside a small hospital bed. His wife had passed away suddenly, leaving him alone with a 3-year-old son and a life that felt far too big to carry by himself. Since then, every day had been about survival, about being strong when he felt weak, and about smiling when his heart felt permanently bruised. The wedding venue was bright and elegant, filled with white flowers, soft gold accents, and the constant hum of cheerful conversation. Sunlight streamed in from every angle, reflecting off polished floors and glass walls, making everything feel warm and alive. Ryan felt like an outsider in that warmth. He wore a simple navy suit that had seen better days, carefully cleaned and pressed the night before. His shoes were scuffed, his tie slightly uneven, but he had come out of respect, not expectation. He told himself he would eat quietly, congratulate the couple, and leave before anyone noticed how uncomfortable he felt among so much effortless happiness. What Ryan did not know was that someone had already noticed him. Her name was Serafina Cole, and she was impossible to miss. She was the kind of woman people recognized without needing an introduction, the CEO of a fast-growing technology firm, known for her sharp mind, calm authority, and unexpected generosity. She stood near the center of the hall, greeting guests with ease, her presence confident but not loud. She wore a soft pastel dress suited perfectly for the daytime celebration, elegant yet understated. Her posture relaxed, her expression warm. While others laughed and posed for photographs, Serafina's attention drifted again and again toward the quiet man standing alone. She noticed the way Ryan watched the celebration, not with envy, but with a distant softness, as if the music and laughter reminded him of something he had lost but still cherished. She noticed how he checked his phone more often than necessary, likely waiting for a message from the babysitter, and how his smile appeared only briefly, carefully controlled. To someone like Serafina, who spent her days reading people in boardrooms and negotiations, his silence spoke louder than any words. Ryan found a seat near the back, close enough to see the joy on the couple's faces, but far enough to avoid conversation. As the afternoon progressed, the hall filled with gentle music and the sound of glasses clinking in celebration. People began to move toward the open dance floor, sunlight dancing across the polished surface. Ryan remained seated, his hands folded, his thoughts drifting to his son, Elias, who would soon wake from his nap at home. He wondered if Elias missed his mother today, the way Ryan did during moments of joy that felt incomplete. He did not see Serafina approach until she was already standing in front of him. There was no dramatic announcement, no sudden silence in the room, just a simple shift in the air, a presence that felt calm and intentional. Serafina extended her hand toward him, her expression gentle, her eyes steady and kind. She spoke softly, not for the room to hear, but for him alone, inviting him to step into the music, into the light, into a moment he had not allowed himself to imagine. It was not the words themselves that stunned him, but the sincerity behind them. For a brief second, Rayan almost refused. Every instinct told him he did not belong out there. He was a single dad, exhausted and worn down, carrying grief like a second skin. He was not meant for dance floors or attention, but something in her gaze made him pause. It was not pity. It was recognition, as if she saw not just who he was, but everything he had survived. When Rayan finally stood and placed his hand in hers, the room seemed to shift. The music continued, the laughter carried on, yet for him, everything narrowed to that simple act of connection. As they stepped onto the dance floor, sunlight wrapped around them, illuminating dust motes in the air, turning the moment almost unreal. He moved carefully at first, uncertain, but Serafina guided him with ease, matching his pace, allowing him space to breathe. As they danced, something inside Rayan began to loosen. The tension he carried in his shoulders eased. The constant weight on his chest lightened just enough for him to take a deeper breath. He realized how long it had been since someone had seen him as more than a struggling father or a tired employee. Here, in this unexpected moment, he was simply a man, present and alive, moving to music in the middle of a bright afternoon. Guests watched with curiosity, whispers traveling softly across the room. Some recognized Serafina immediately and wondered who the man beside her was. Others sensed that something meaningful was unfolding, something unplanned and sincere. Serafina, for her part, seemed entirely unconcerned with appearances. She focused on Rayan, on making him feel steady, included, and valued. After the dance ended, they did not part immediately. They moved to a quiet corner near the windows, where the sunlight was softer. Without prying or judgment, Serafina listened as Rayan shared pieces of his life, his struggles as a single father, the loss that had reshaped his world, the constant fear of not being enough for his son. He spoke without shame, his words heavy but honest. For the first time in years, he did not feel the need to pretend he was fine. Serafina shared her own story. Not of loss in the same way, but of loneliness hidden behind success, of long days filled with decisions that affected thousands, yet quiet nights spent wondering if any of it truly mattered. She spoke of her belief that leadership meant kindness, that success meant lifting others, and that sometimes the most important moments were the ones no one planned. As the afternoon light began to soften, the wedding continued around them. But Rayan felt changed. He did not leave early as he had intended. Instead, he stayed, laughed, and even danced again, this time with a little more confidence. For the first time since his wife's passing, he allowed himself to imagine a future not defined solely by survival, but by connection and hope. In the weeks that followed, their paths crossed again, not by chance, but by choice. Serafina helped Rayan find opportunities he never believed were meant for someone like him, guiding him without overshadowing him, encouraging him without rescuing him. Rayan, in turn, rediscovered parts of himself he thought were gone forever, his confidence, his joy, his ability to dream. Most importantly, his son Elias saw a father who smiled more often, who carried less sadness in his eyes, who believed again. Years later, Rayan would look back on that sunny wedding afternoon as the moment everything shifted. Not because of fame or fortune, but because one person chose to notice him, to reach out, and to invite him into the light when he was ready to fade into the background.